Today we're doing NBA player props here on PrizePicks for Thursday, March 23rd. Before we get started, there's a link in the description below to sign up for PrizePicks, or you can use promo code TUFF to sign up. They will match 100% of your first deposit. There's a Discord link in the description where the main server is completely free. We do also have that Patreon link in the description where I post all the plays that I'm making on PrizePicks. For each given sport that I do play, again, not a gambling expert. This is not financial advice. Simply just plays I'm personally looking at making. Hopefully give you guys some insight and analysis to make your own player prop decisions. This is how we did yesterday on the Patreon. Really good day yesterday. The core plays went 5-2. I gave 7 core plays. DeRozan had probably one of his worst games of his career, and Chris Paul just was in foul trouble, didn't want to pass the ball at all. The additional plays we hit on Maxi and Reeves Fantasy, and then both the YouTube plays from yesterday did hit. So this is an example of the core play write-ups that I do for each prop that I am looking at core plays wise. So again, link is in the description below for the Patreon. Again, both YouTube plays hit yesterday. Both YouTube, or one we pushed and cleared on the YouTube plays before that. So we're on like a nice, I think we're on like a 5-1 run here on the YouTube plays. Super small slate today though, you guys. Super small. We got 4 games on the slate. So days like this, we got obviously the college NCAA tournament Sweet 16 today. But slates like this tend to just not really use too much of the bankroll overall. Trying to bet a lot lighter today with these smaller slates. And again, I think just based on the teams playing, based on the matchups, again, bet lightly. I don't really love this slate today overall, but let's get into it. I got 2 plays here for this video. The first one is going to be Jared Allen over 10.5 rebounds against the Brooklyn Nets. Now, we know Brooklyn has been like a target for centers really since the All-Star break, since the trade deadline. Surprisingly, since they traded KD and Kyrie, their defense got a lot worse, But taking a look at Jared Allen, right, this is a pretty decent hit rate all season long. He's hit this in 3 straight games. I guess he's actually came back from injury and grabbed 14 rebounds in that game. In 35 minutes, he grabbed 14 rebounds, and in that game, he had, I believe, 19 rebounding chances on 14 rebounds in 35 minutes, and that was his first game back. I think he missed like 4 straight games here. Jared Allen game log versus Brooklyn. This is his former team, somewhat of a revenge type game, and he's actually gone over this 5 of 7 times, one time with 10 here. So he's at a decent hit rate. Again, his last 2 times against Cleveland this season, he's hit the over 11 and 14. If we take a look here, though, centers rebounds against the Brooklyn Nets, I mean, this is an extremely high hit rate. If we just take a look at the month of March, Sabonis had 21, Jokic had 20, Jokic had 17 again, Jared Allen 14, Mark Williams 14, Rudy Gobert 13, Clint Capella 12, Alperen Sengun 12. Clint Capella had 12 rebounds in 18 minutes. Lopez had 10 2 times, and then Mitchell Robinson had 10 as well. And if we take a look here, I mean, obviously, Brooklyn giving up the most rebounds to centers over the last 15 games, over the last 7 games. Same story, 19 plus over the last 15 games, which is a ton of rebounds to the center position. They're giving up the most rebounds overall as a team. So obviously, naturally, just a lot of those rebounds are going to go to the centers. Like I said, 19 rebounding chances for Jared Allen in their last game against Brooklyn. And then if we take a look at rebounding chances, centers, I mean, look at these rebounding chances for centers, right? This is over the last 10 games here. I mean, Sabonis had 34 rebounding chances. Jokic had 26. Gobert 22. Portis 20. Josh Giddey had 20. Sengun had 19. Lopez 19. Jared Allen 19. So I definitely think, even just at 19 rebounding chances, he was able to grab 14. We could see 20, 21 plus rebounding chances in this matchup here playing in Brooklyn. So I definitely think this game should remain somewhat close. We're looking at a 219 over-under with a 4-point spread. Cleveland's going to be 4-point favorites here. Also, what I like about this play is Nick Claxton cannot spread the floor, and neither can the backup center, Daron Sharp. Neither one of these guys can spread the floor at all. So it really should put Jared Allen continuing to be firmly in that paint. At 10.5 rebounds, I like this. Again, you could pivot to like 11.5 RA or his points plus rebounds here, but I don't think he gets either of these without 11 rebounds, in my opinion. So yeah, I like Jared Allen over 10.5 rebounds here. It's just an absolute smash spot. That continues to be a smash spot against centers, right? Centers just continue to feast Brooklyn on the boards, right? So Jared Allen, 10.5 rebounds is going to be the first play. And then the other one, again, a little bit of a sus play, a little bit of a risky one, but we're not here to not have some sweats, you guys. But I like Westbrook over 38.5 fantasy. For me personally, I'm not as big of a Westbrook hater as I think a lot of people are. I appreciate Westbrook for kind of who he is and how hard of a player that how hard he does play. And I just like this play for a few reasons. One, this game should have a pretty high scoring total. It does have a 232 over under, which is going to be the highest of any game today. Clippers are going to be 4-point spread here, but no Norman Powell and no Paul George, which is the key here for Russell Westbrook. So we take a look at Russell Westbrook, and I mean, this has a pretty high floor. We can see in 4 straight games, he's had 42, 30, 34, and 34 fantasy points. Now, all 4 of these games obviously are going to be with Paul George. So, I mean, we're taking Paul George with probably the second or maybe even the highest usage on the team. If we take a look here, this is over the last 15 days at home. You can see here Paul George does have the highest usage on the team at 30.3 USG. Okay, so we're taking 30.3 usage off the floor here. If we take Paul George off the court, just here in their last 15, 7 games at home, I mean, Russell Westbrook gets a 30.3 USG and averages 41.5 fantasy points. I mean, Norman Powell's only played 2 games, so I'm just going to leave him here. But look at, I mean, Russell Westbrook, 41.5 fantasy points with a 30.3 usage with Paul George off the floor. We can see here, I mean, even since he's joined the Clippers, I mean, he's hit this 4 times, 40, 42, 42, and 48. And all 4 of these games with Paul George. Okay, 36, 34, 34. I mean, he just had 34 against OKC 2 nights ago. 15, 8, 2, and 2. Shots only 10 field goal attempts, went 0 for 3 from 3. But only had 2 turnovers, grabbed 2 steals and 1 block. I think, I mean, he had 34 with Paul George. You take Paul George out of the equation. I mean, I've strong reason to believe he can get me, 5 more fantasy points, right, without Paul George on the floor. He only played 26 minutes, and he had 34.6 fantasy points. Obviously, this is not a revenge game, but facing his former team, and it is really just a great matchup for point guards. We can see here over the last 7 games, OKC giving up the second most fantasy points to the point guard position overall over the last 7. Over the last 15, still here, number 4, the 4th most fantasy points to the point guard position over the last 30. OKC number 3, third most point guard fantasy points to the point guard position. So, I mean, point guards against OKC has been a smash spot. We take a look here. This is just recently, right? Just in the last 15 games or so. Dinwiddie, Schroeder, Van Fleet, Chris Paul went over this twice. Steph Curry and Fox all cleared this line here. Like I said, Westbrook 34.6 in only 26 minutes here. I think he's going to have to play like 30-plus minutes. I know Tyronn Lue just kind of does him dirty with the minutes, 29 minutes here. But, I mean, no Paul George. Russell Westbrook's going to get the keys to the offense, especially if Kawhi Leonard's off the floor, which should generate some significant fantasy points for us here. We take a look at fantasy points per minute. Over his last 5, 1.08 fantasy points per minute for Russ, which is decent for him. Obviously, he career-wise has just been a fantasy points per minute monster. But at 38.5, smash spot here. Should be a fast-paced matchup. OKC, I believe, is like number 3 in pace in the NBA. I just think Russ should and hopefully does have a great game tonight, knowing what he needs to do. Obviously, this is a massive game for playoff implications as well. But I like Jared Allen over 10.5 rebounds, and then I like Russ over 38.5 fantasy score. Let me know in the comments below how you guys feel about these plays. Drop a like, hit that subscribe button, and as always, let's cash.